I just happen to come up hard. I just come from the poet's part. Legal or illegal, baby, I gotta make it bright like city life. I gotta make it. It's a big rich town.
Fake love, I don't need it, you can keep it as a fact. I had to make up my mind. I took that weight on my shoulder. I done been down.
To understand all of this, we need to go way back to 2018, back to when Britney's sister, Jamie Lynn Spears, was made the trustee of Britney's SJB Revocable Trust Fund, which protected all the singer's pre-conservatorship assets.
Lou Taylor pulled a lot of tricks to keep an eye on Britney, including allegedly monitoring and surveilling Britney Spears' phone and private conversations, according to a former security member that worked for Lou Taylor. They felt like that she wasn't being treated like a human being, speaking about Britney Spears. And y'all remember earlier what I was telling y'all about Lou Taylor? Do not forget, okay? Lou Taylor launched TriStar Sports and Entertainment Group in 1992 and reinvested the money she made from clients, including her cut of boxer Michael Moore's purses for fighting Evander Holyfield, back into her business. Now, 27 years later, she's running one of the top firms in the entertainment industry. But this was all off the back of Britney Spears, you guys, with the help of Diddy and Kim Kardashian and the whole lot. But I'm just not going to get too far ahead of myself. And I'm just going to go ahead and break it down for y'all and make it make sense for y'all so we can make it make sense for you. TriStar Entertainment handled Britney Spears' affairs from 2008 to 2020. And even though we didn't know any of this going on at the time, you guys, all of this stuff is coming out into the open now in the public eye in the era of social media, you guys, because of what was found in Diddy's house when it was raided in Miami and at Los Angeles, and what was found in there pertaining to Kris Jenner and Khloe and Kim Kardashian, as well as Kylie Jenner and Kris Jenner and Lou Taylor, y'all. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all, so just listen. The New York Times had wrote an article about the surveillance apparatus that surrounded Britney Spears. An accountant by a former employee of the security team hired by Mrs. Spears' father created the most detailed portrait yet of the singer's life under 13 years of conservatorship. So in 2008, when Britney Spears' father, Jamie, and the security firm Lou Taylor he hired to protect Britney Spears ran an intense surveillance apparatus that monitored Britney's communications and secretly captured audio recordings from her bedroom, including her interactions and conversations with her boyfriend and children, according to a former employee of the security firm. The employee supported his claims with emails, text messages, and audio recordings he was privy to in his 9 years as an executive assistant in operations and cybersecurity manager for Black Box, the security firm. He came forward for a new documentary by the New York Times controlling Britney Spears, which was released on Friday. Recording conversations in a private place and mirroring text messages without the consent of both parties can be a violation of the law. It is unclear if the court overseeing Ms. Spears' conservatorship was aware of or had approved the surveillance. The employee in his trove of materials create the most detailed portrait yet of what Miss Spears' life has been like under the conservatorship for the past 13 years. He said that the relentless surveillance operation had helped several people linked to the conservatorship, primarily her father, James P. Spears, who controlled nearly every aspect of her life. Mrs. Spears' father, who is known as Jamie, was appointed conservator in 2008, shortly after Mrs. Spears was twice taken to the hospital by ambulance for involuntary psychiatric evaluations amid a series of public struggles and concerns around her mental health and potential substance abuse. He was giving broad control over her life and her estate, including the power to retain round-the-clock security for Mrs. Spears. Mr. Spears and others involved in the conservatorship have insisted that it was a smooth-running operation that worked in the best interest of his daughter. But in the wake of Mr. Spears' comments in court in June, the judge authorized her to choose her own lawyer, Mr. Rosengart, for the first time. Mr. Rosengart swiftly filed to remove Mrs. Spears as the conservator of the singer's estate. After consistently arguing that there were no grounds for his removal, Mr. Spears abruptly asked the court on September 7th to consider whether to terminate the conservatorship entirely. Mr. Rosengart's and Mr. Spears' requests are expected to be considered at a hearing scheduled for September 29th. So this is old news, you guys. Clearly, she's gotten out of the conservatorship since then, but I'm just using this to prove a point. So the security team's role has long been a mystery. The Black Box security founder was born born in Israel and is described on a company website as having a background in the Israelite Special Forces. And the Spears account helped Black Box grow from a tiny operation to a prominent player in the celebrity security industry. It counts the Kardashians, Miley Cyrus, and Lana Del Rey among its clients. So Britney Spears' bodyguard said that Mr. Spears' phone had been monitored using a clever tech setup. The iCloud account on her phone was mirrored on an iPad and later on an iPod. Mr. Yemeni would have Mr. Vlasov encrypt Ms. Spears' digital communications captured on the iPad and the iPod to send to Mr. Spears and Robin Greenhill, an employee of TriStar Sports and Entertainment Group, the former business manager for the singer's estate. This arrangement allowed them to monitor all text messages, FaceTime calls, notes, browser history, and photographs. Her own phone and her own private conversations were used so often to control her. In response to the questions about the surveillance operation, a lawyer for TriStar Sports and Entertainment Group said that these allegations are not true. Miss Robin Greenhill was only involved in Mrs. Spears' security to the extent that Mrs. Spears requested her involvement, as well as TriStar's role of issuing the payments to the security company. The lawyer did not respond to follow-up questions, specifically asking whether Miss Robin Greenhill had ever received copies of or reports on the contents of Mrs. Spears' text communications. And they said that the reason that the owner had given for monitoring Britney Spears' phone was to protect her from harm or bad influences. But that Britney's father monitored his daughter's text message conversations with her mother, her boyfriend, her close friends, and even her court-appointed lawyer, according to screenshots of messages provided to the Times. And Mr. Vlasov's accounts of how Mrs. Spears' life was controlled by the security team were confirmed by others with first-hand knowledge of the conservatorship who requested anonymity. They said that Mrs. Spears essentially could not leave her home without the presence of security personnel who would inform Mr. Yemeni, Mr. Spears, and Miss Robin Greenhill of the singer's movements via group chat. The security employee went on to say that another Black Box employee had once given him a portable USB drive and asked him to delete the audio recordings on it. I had them tell me what was on it. They seemed very nervous and said that it was extremely sensitive, that nobody can ever know about this, and that's why I need to delete everything on it so there's no record of it. And that raised so many red flags with me, and I did not want to be complicit in whatever they were involved in, so I kept a copy because I don't want to delete evidence. The drive he discovered contained audio recordings from a device that was secretly placed in Britney Spears' bedroom. With more than 180 hours of recordings, Mr. Vlasov said that he thought the timing was curious because some of the recordings were made around the time that a court investigator visited Mrs. Spears to perform a periodic review in September of 2016. The New York Times reviewed the recordings to confirm their authenticity, and when asked why he had continued working with Black Box despite harboring so many concerns, Mr. Vlasov said he had feared the amount of power Mr. Yemeni and others had and the possibility that they could damage his job prospects in the industry. After Mrs. Spears' impassioned remarks to the court in June, Mr. Vlasov said his mindset had changed, and choosing to leave Black Box in April was the best decision of his life, he said, and he believes going public is the right thing to do. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I've never regretted it, he said. She did not want to be there. Mrs. Spears spent time at a mental health treatment facility in 2019, a state that appears to have been a turning point in the conservatorship. Who exactly sent her there, for what reason, and whether she went on her own volition are in dispute. In June of 2021, Britney Spears had requested that the courts terminate her conservatorship from up under her father, Jamie, and the drama exploded a lot of controversies in behind the conservatorship concerning her dad's mistreatment and her lack of control over her own finances.
3 days later, after I said no to Vegas, my therapist sat me down in a room and said he had a million phone calls about how I was not cooperating in rehearsals and I haven't been taking my medication. All of this was false. He immediately the next day put me on lithium out of nowhere. He took me off my normal meds I'd been on for 5 years. And lithium is a very, very strong and completely different medication compared to what I was used to.
And this was an article that was wrote on July 5th of 2022. And it's basically stating how Britney Spears' former business manager, Lou Taylor, was involved in conversations leading up to the establishment of the pop star's controversial conservatorship. I'm sorry about my voice, y'all. I'll be smoking weed and be too invested in these celebrities' business. The filing by Spears' high-powered attorney, Matthew Rosengart, last Friday in Los Angeles, TriStar TriStar Sports and Entertainment Group founder Lou Taylor's previous claim to Page Six that she had no role whatsoever in the creation of the conservatorship. In an email dated January 17th of 2008, just 15 days before the quote-unquote toxic singer's father, Jamie Spears, went to court and put himself in control of her personal affairs, Lou Taylor introduced herself to Jamie's then attorneys, Geraldine and Gerald Cohen, and wrote, "I look forward to working with you," according to the documents. 12 minutes later, Lou Taylor emailed Jamie to alert him that she had talked to Weil and Cohen and Andrew Wallet, the lawyer who would go on to help manage Britney's money for 11 years, and that Wallet and TriStar would quote-unquote serve as co-conservators with Jamie over Britney Spears' estate. Because the plan was to lock Britney down in order to control her money so that everybody could have access to her money without having to work for it themselves. And there's no telling how many people they have done this to over the years, you guys. There should really be stricter laws surrounding this, especially when it comes to celebrities and public figures who become targets for people out to use them, like Lou Taylor and Jamie Spears. People shouldn't be allowed to dictate if a woman is able to cut her hair off or not, or if she is able to have a mental breakdown or a mental episode. People shouldn't be plotted on and plotted against to take their money and their hard-earned legacy from them and everything that they have worked hard for in the name of $1. And if nothing is done for Britney Spears, I just hope that something comes out of this Diddy situation to where Lou Taylor and Robin Greenhill are being held accountable, y'all. Because y'all remember in Little Rod's lawsuit that he filed against Diddy, he listed Robin Greenhill as the person who was paying out to the workers like Young Miami and 50 Cent Baby Mama. In Britney Spears' best-selling 2023 memoir, The Woman in Me, she described Robin Greenhill as TriStar boss Lou Taylor's weird ASS lackey and grouped both women alongside her despised father as bullies. The pop star wrote, "I wanted them out of my life." And this is the connection in between Britney Spears and Diddy, you guys, and how I feel like Diddy, Lou Taylor, Kim Kardashian, Jamie Spears, and a lot of them took advantage of Britney, you guys. And there's something deeper here going on, and I might not be able to quite put my finger on it, but I can highlight a lot of the information, y'all, and we can help each other make it make sense for ourselves so that we can figure it out.
Remember when it came out that Britney Spears was allegedly illegally surveilled by black box security by the whistleblower Alex Vlasov? Vlasov also named Robin Greenhill directly. Alex Vlasov alleged that TriStar Entertainment tapped Britney's communications and monitored her every single move. He even alleged that they had illegally planted audio recording devices and video recording devices all around her home, including her bedroom. Now, they have denied these claims. I'm just telling you that for legal purposes, really. One of the reasons I bring this up is because I saw the press conference yesterday where the feds were talking about what they have brought Diddy in on and everything, and there was a clip that really caught my attention.
And as alleged, Combs used others to help conceal his abuse by monitoring and preventing victims from leaving a location in order to hide their injuries, or by locating and contacting a victim who had attempted to flee.
It says, and even the defendant's companies and wealth management firm. I believe that wealth management firm is referring to TriStar Sports and Entertainment. So it sounds to me like they are going to be investigating TriStar. At the very least, there's no way they're getting around their depositions this time, because this is the feds. So while I don't believe that we ever got to see true justice for Britney Spears, maybe we'll at least get to see some retribution for TriStar, Lou, and Robin Greenhill.
Because inside of Diddy and Britney Spears' legal sagas, one management firm appears. TriStar Sports and Entertainment Group, which was scrutinized for its role in the pop singer's conservatorship, had its accountant referenced in a civil lawsuit against Sean Combs alleging cash payments to workers like Young Miami and 50 Cent's Baby Mama, who were on monthly retainers. And that is because Lou Taylor is allegedly using Diddy and his party goers and the children that Diddy is taking advantage of so that she can see who's partying too hard and have the same process that she did with Britney Spears, but doing it with someone else that is around Diddy all the time who she knows has substance abuse issues. And for this example, we can use Kanye West. So we're